Welcome back in. I'm Rhonda Holt, the Loan Maven with Thrive Mortgage, and I am here in the studio. We've just come back from break. I'm with Kyle Bradley with Maddox Air Electrical. We talk every Saturday about all things mortgage, and we talk from everything from credit repair to investment property buying to where the market is. And our series that we've been focusing on starting in May is going to be, or has been, home improvement. So we are actually talking about how you can improve your home, how you can increase your value. We talked about last week, we met with Dane Beekler from Hometown Roofing that spoke about roofing and getting replacement roofs. So we're going to be talking about another guest with us here in the studio. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about kind of where market news is right now. And of course, Mary, I know you've probably heard a lot of things going on in the market right now from these what I like to call LLPAs. I'm sure you've heard of loan level pricing adjustments. Well, I just heard some noise around that this morning, that this afternoon there might be a rollback of that original plan because they're getting so much flack around it. And I knew that was coming.
Even though it had been in the pipeline for a while, you realize once people started finding out about it, there would be pushback.
Right. So the FHFA, what governs Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, was the one that made them push this out. And it's so many misconceptions out there. And I think the biggest misconception is that if you have a higher credit score, that you're going to be charged more on a rate. And that's not true. That's absolutely not true. If the charges that they're talking about are already charges that are built into rates already. It doesn't affect the interest rate per se. It's just the charges that are put into a rate, like you would pay a discount point or discount charge for a rate. And yes, they are charging a premium, but if you have a low credit score, like for 620 versus a 780, you're still going to be charged more for an interest rate to get it versus somebody with a great credit score, because you are more of a risk to a lender. So if you've got a great credit score out there, you're not being charged more. So don't think that. But they are rolling back this and kind of revamping the whole thing. I think the overall goal in it, or should be rather, that everyone's making an argument about is loans should be affordable across the board. And I do agree with that. But I do agree that if you do have a better credit score, then you shouldn't be penalized either. So that's what that's all about. And also just giving you some updates, the average contract interest rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage with conforming loan balances, that's of $726,200 or less, decreased last week from a 6.48 to from a 6.50. So interest rates are holding really low, steady. The average interest rate that I had was at, as I mentioned, 6.48, and that's for the conforming, and that's average nationwide. I have seen interest rates though lower. For example, I quoted on a conforming rate with someone with an 780 credit score putting 20% down. And of course, every loan scenario varies. But I quoted one this morning at a 5.875. So rates are low. And of course, higher the loan, the more the rate, but the rates are still low overall. Applications to refinance a home jumped up 10% last week. Obviously, that's because some of these people did get in at the high 7 rates when they did bump up there. And if rates are coming down and you've got a high balance on a loan, it may be advantageous for you to refinance. Or, as we talked about last week, if you need to get cash out to do home improvements or to consolidate debt, that is the perfect time to refinance. Plus, applications for mortgage purchases increased 5% for the week, but were 32% lower from the same week 1 year ago. So we are still lower than last year, but the actual mortgage applications have increased. What are the predictions for 23? It's all across the board. We do not know. I mean, Freddie Mac, chief economist, says that with the rate of inflation decelerating, rates should gently decline over the course of 2023. National Association of Realtors said that mortgage rates will drop, falling from to 6% this year, and by 24 they'll be at 5.6%. As you can see, this is totally across the board. Compass U.S. region president said there has been signals that mortgage interest rates may be at or near their peak, given recent encouraging news around inflation. So their prediction is that should put mortgage rates around the 5% range by the second half of 23.
Good news.
So we all wish we had that crystal ball.
That's right, it is true.
These are all predictions, so who knows what it's going to happen.
Wishful thinking.
Yes, wishful thinking. Yes, I wish if I had a crystal ball, boy, would I I'll be sitting pretty right now. But yeah, so we don't know. But overall, it's a great time to buy. Renting is something that it should be a case-by-case basis. Why would you rent if you can buy? Invest in something that you own. And you have that investment at a low rate of interest. So as we're trickling into talking about market news and home improvement that I mentioned, I want to introduce you to a special guest of mine, is Kyle Bradley. You've been sitting here so quiet. Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Rhonda. How are you today?
I'm doing great. And Kyle is with Maddox Air Electrical. And I always get that mixed up, but they do a little bit of everything. So Kyle, tell them what you do at Maddox.
Yeah, specifically I'm in residential and commercial HVAC sales, primarily quoting replacement options and also new installs residentially. I do not deal with any construction work at all on the commercial side.
Okay. So you've been with Maddox for how long?
For 2 years now.
Awesome. And so, for example, the customers, do they call you directly, or how does that work? Does it go into a number and they call you, or how does that work?
Both. So you can call me direct, and I get that from friends, family, word of mouth, customers passing my name on. Best way, most of my leads come generally through the office, direct to that line, and then our dispatchers pass them to me from there.
Okay. So when you say because right now people are not needing much heat, I would say, so they're thinking about air, and this weather's so unpredictable. Though I think last week was a little cold, and now it's been 80 some. And so what are you seeing now? Calls from, what are they calling you about?
Most of the calls now are people who put off replacing or repairing their system last summer.
Oh.
They limped through last summer and just got by till the cool weather got here. Now they're getting hot, and they're not going to sit through another summer like last year. So
they're saying, oh gosh, I should have done it last year, but they held out one more month and whatever, and now they're here. So obviously, what do you, and of course you all do heating as well. We talked about air, and then electrical. What part of that do you do, or does Maddox do?
Sure. Our residential electrical department pretty much consists of panel upgrades, service upgrades, and then generator installs. So that's the whole home. Generators can back up everything automatically. So we specialize in those, being a Generac dealer.
Oh wow. I know that I've used Maddox doing a whole panel upgrade. My daughter ended up getting a house, and it had the old box in there, and that's one thing that the home inspector told us. They said, oh, you got to get that upgraded. I was like, oh, okay, because that could be a fire hazard or whatever it is. So it's good to know that you guys did a great job with that. And so generators. So what about generators? You know, I hear about them all the time, whole house generators. And why are they so important?
Well, if you think about it, I mean, everybody thinks about wintertime as being the time to have it. You don't want to go without power, but it's as important in the summer. A lot of people with the pricing of groceries, for instance, that's a lot of money sitting in your fridge that if you lose power for a day or two, real quick could be throwing money out the door. Where if you had the power come on, stay on, you're keeping everything you've got in the freezers, fridges, and anywhere else.
Right. I bet you guys were really busy when we had that derecho. Oh gosh, I remember that a few years back. And you know, we at knock on wood, is there some wood around here? So at our home, we rarely lose power. We have the underground power lines. We rarely lose it, but we did lose it during the derecho. I think everybody lost power pretty much. But I know that, you know, that would be so important to have that whole house generator. So does it automatically come on when the power goes out, and does it stay on for how long?
It stays on. I mean, it does come on automatically, and it's going to stay on as long as you've got fuel in the tank. So if they run on propane or natural gas, obviously you're not running out of natural gas in the city, but it's going to be on. The transfer switch detects when you lose power, and it also detects when the power comes back on and shuts the generator off automatically.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so you can do anything with that. You can use your electricity, anything.
You got 100% use of dryer, oven, washing machine,
Wow.
HVAC system, all of it.
I need one of those. So what if somebody wanted to get one of those? What is like the price range are you looking at?
Well, a lot of factors come into play depending on the home's electronics. If you have one panel versus two, but a general consensus, you're going to be in the $12,000 to $15,000 range as a general ballpark,
Right.
where they're running to back up the entire home.
And that's a good investment when you're thinking about it, especially losing food or, you know, with me, I work from home a lot, you know, and I need that capability to have my, you know, phone and have my computer and all of that running. So I think that that's so important. It's such a little investment. And do you all offer any type of like financing for the generators?
We do offer financing through Wells Fargo. And another thing to keep in mind is keeping that power, and like you said, if you're working from home, the ability to keep working and keep being productive.
Right, exactly. Why is it so important, other than, you know, the fact that you want to be able to keep working? We talked about you don't want to lose your food in your refrigerator. You want to be able to use electricity. Why is it so important to have the generator, do you think?
Well, if you talk about potentially selling the home in the future, and if a potential home buyer is looking at multiple homes, which they probably are, the one that they're guaranteed not to lose power ever,
right,
I would think would stand out amongst the others. So it's a very easy way to get a return on your investment very quickly if you're selling the home in the future.
Yeah, I know. And Mary asked an important question during break. She was saying, does it stay with the home? Because I know that there's these small generators you can buy, and I know that you can only like hook a cell phone up or a refrigerator up to it. And I mean, I don't know much about them, but I mean, I don't know if they're dangerous or not dangerous. I don't know if they're gas, but I don't know anything about those. But this sounds like it's built in. It's, you know, very great. It's easy to use. It just flips on, flips off when the power. So yeah, you're right. If you have a generator, a whole house generator versus a house that didn't, and it's a choice, you would definitely choose, and that would help the value of the home. You're right. And besides generators, I know that we want to help folks increase the value of their home. Plus, we want to make sure that what they have is running efficiently. And when I say that, what is the biggest complaint we hear lately about how high the electric bill has been? I don't know about you guys, but my bill went up. I know we have Christmas lights a little bit. I know December it was $600, and January was $400 and some. So everybody's had a high bill, right?
They have. We get that complaint frequently.
So could you not having an efficient running heat pump system attribute to that?
It absolutely could, and we offer preventive maintenance services for that. And by getting it checked up, you may find the problem that is running that electricity up before it gets to a broken unit. But it can also, if you find it early enough, obviously save you month to month on what you could be saving and maybe putting towards a new, more efficient system.
Right. So how does a heat pump, let's say an old one or something, or one that's not running very, I mean, how does it affect the heat bill? I mean, how does it work?
So if the older the unit, the less efficient the system is. So it works harder and longer, running longer, which is going to use more electricity for a longer period of time, therefore increasing your bill.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that to get it, like right now, if we're trying to cool it, to get it to cool to say 70 degrees versus a newer unit or more efficient unit, it's going to be working overtime just to get it there, I guess.
Sure. I mean, example, cut this system on, trying to get it to 70 degrees per se. Old unit, if it runs 10 to 15 minutes versus the new unit running 5 minutes, 5 to 8 minutes, just a comparison there. If it's running half the amount of time, the savings are going to add up over the life of that system.
Right. So, I don't know if you can answer this, but I've always wondered this. Is it true or not true if we, at nighttime, if we like turn down the thermostat or whatever and then turn it back up when we get up in the morning, does that save money or is that a myth?
I would go more myth for the fact these heat pumps are designed to maintain temperature. So the more consistent you can keep it, the more it's working the way it's designed to work. It's not designed to warm up or cool down the house fast. It's designed to maintain the temperature.
I hope my husband's listening to this because I'm going to make sure I play this. I want him to hear this because this is just, because we fight over that all the time. I'm either hot or cold, and of course, and I'm like, it's too hot in here. I'm like, you're supposed to keep the thermostat in one level place. That's what, okay, Kyle said it. Y'all heard it. Okay. But
I don't, in our house, my husband will say, what are you trying to do? Heat the whole neighborhood? Like if somebody leaves the door open or leaves, for some fresh air.
Right.
And I'll say, it's official. You've become your dad.
Right.
But it's something about that thermostat.
That's a good question. So does that also, do it cost more if you leave the door open?
Well, yeah. If it's if you're letting the cold air out, you sure are.
Well, darn. I thought that I was liking that. It's just kind of like when you're riding down the road and you have the windows down and the air conditioner's on. I do that all the time.
You're just going to have a higher bill.
That's right, higher bill. Oh my gosh. Well, so talking about heat pumps and their different like SEERs. So what does that mean?
So you've got different levels of efficiency ranging from 14 SEER all the way up to 20 SEER piece of equipment. Each level getting a little more complicated, kind of a few more bells and whistles to operate.
Okay. So I would think a 20 SEER would be more energy efficient than the 14 SEER. Would it necessarily save you more dollars?
It's going to save you more dollars. The big thing to consider, and I take the honest approach when I'm telling customers this, you have to weigh the life of the unit. Is a 20 SEER unit priced very high today compared to a 14 SEER going to save you that much money over the entire life of the system?
Mm-hmm.
And it gets very difficult for that to happen because there's so many factors that come into that achieving a true 20 SEER with ductwork and all other items associated.
Yeah. So, and then you've got to determine when you're looking at putting a heating system in, maybe a person needs 2 units rather than 1 unit. And how do you determine that? I guess square footage or how do you determine that?
Square footage comes into play. The main thing I see that people struggle with, they put 1 unit and then they have a 2-story house. Master bedroom is upstairs. The thermostat is downstairs with 1 unit. Heat rises, so you're either going to freeze on the bottom level to cool the top or vice versa.
Oh, wow.
Being split levels like that.
Oh, wow. And talking about heat pumps, right now you mentioned to us that there are tax credits out there. So if people need a new heat pump, tell us about that.
Yeah, there are tax credits out there starting at the 15 SEER level and up. You can visit multiple websites. Energy Star has a lot of information on their website, but roughly, and I always tell people, encourage them to check with their tax professional. I don't want to be on the hook for anybody's tax credit. But 30% of the total job up to $2,000 is what you'll find on the Energy Star website.
Oh, wow. So if you're paying a high electric bill, or if you feel like your house is not cooling like it should, or heating in the wintertime, if any of those apply, I would say that you definitely need to get your system checked out. And maybe you've got window units. I see some people with just these window air conditions, and that can cause the electric bill to go sky high too. Would it be more efficient to go and get a heat pump system? And you offer financing on that as well.
We do, through Wells Fargo also.
That's great. So, it can happen. And plus, if you want to look at taking cash out of your home equity to do some upgrades like this, for example, a generator or a heat pump system, upgrade your current heating system or air conditioning system, this would be the perfect time to do it while the interest rates are low, doing the cash out refinance, and you may have some debt to pay off as well. But you can do all of this and get that, hopefully get it more efficient and energy savings, but also savings in your pocket each and every month. I would say, if somebody wanted to call you and contact you and said, hey, I really want you to come out and check out our unit to see what's going on, is there a charge to come out and check out the unit itself?
There is a charge of $64, a diagnostic fee.
Okay.
That our service techs, that we do charge for that, to just check it, to tell you, hey, this is what's wrong, or you're operating as efficient as you can.
Right. So, and then if you install the heat pump, you do yearly maintenance on that, right?
We do offer yearly maintenance, and that's depending on your type of system, but a standard heat pump system is $158, and then each additional heat pump system is $80.
Oh, good. So you give them a discount.
Mm-hmm.
So how would they get in touch with you, Kyle?
Best way to get in touch with me is either through the office at 434-821-6231, or my cell phone, 434-610-1529.
Okay. And then they would just call the office or call you and said, hey, I would like you to come out and take a look at my heat pump system or my air conditioning system. This is what I'm thinking of. And you would give them an estimate of what that's going to look like, costing, but think about the savings. I know that, us switching units, we had units in our house for a long time, and we were one of those people that waited until the very last, and they lasted a long time. Some of these units can last how long?
The average lifespan now is about 12 to 15 years.
Yeah.
We see them 20 to 25 years now, but that's not typical.
Yeah, and I think ours were like 18 years maybe, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's something to look into, and you can definitely save a lot of money for investing with a new heat pump system or a generator. And I want to say thank you, Kyle Bradley, for joining me on the studio this morning. And if you want a loan to be able to take cash out to either do some home improvement, to do some debt consolidation, we can help you here at Thrive Mortgage. I can be reached personally at 434-221-6361. You can also visit my website at theloanmaven.com. Also, be sure to tune in if you happen to miss this day's episode. You can tune in to my YouTube channel at The Loan Maven. And please subscribe and like. We would certainly enjoy for you to listen in. And every week we talk about mortgages. So we'll be back next week and bringing you more about home improvement and all things mortgage. So I hope you have a good week.